They installed the first metal parking bar at 6:12 a.m. I remember the exact time because the drilling jolted me awake like an earthquake ripping through my driveway. By the time I stumbled outside in my slippers, rubbing sleep out of my eyes, 3 HOA contractors in neon vests were already setting the second one. Thick steel, concrete anchors, reflective tape like they were installing miniature prison gates across every inch that led to my garage. 22 of them. 22 metal barricades stabbing out of my own concrete like broken teeth, each one basically saying, "You don't own this, we do." I asked the foreman what the hell they thought they were doing, and he didn't even look at me, just tapped the clipboard hanging from his hand like that gave him divine authority. He said the HOA passed Section 14B temporary access restriction at last night's board meeting, effective immediately, something about parking standardization and investigating misuse of private driveways. Misuse. I'd lived there 9 years, mowed the shared lawn 3 times a month because the HOA never did it right, painted my garage twice, replaced my own mailbox, and now I was being accused of misuse. One neighbor peeked through her blinds. Another filmed from his porch like I was being evicted. The HOA president, a man named Carlton, walked up wearing his usual smug expression, the kind that made you feel like even breathing in front of him required filing a form. He told me the bars were staying until an internal compliance review was done, and if I tried removing them, I'd be fined $1,500 per bar. That was $33,000 in fines for touching my own driveway. I tried to argue, but he lifted a hand like he was a judge calling order in a courtroom he invented himself. Then he turned his back and walked away while the drilling resumed, each metallic shriek digging deeper into my skull. By noon, all 22 bars stood lined like ribs across my driveway. There was no way to park, no way to use my garage, no way to pull out my recycling bins. I had to climb sideways through them just to get to my front door. When the mailman came, he laughed under his breath. "What you do to make them mad?" he asked. I didn't know, but I was going to find out. Inside my house, I dug through every HOA email of the last 3 years. No warnings, no complaints, no notices about misuse, nothing. I searched the bylaws, scrolling until my eyes burned. I inspected Section 14B, it didn't exist. It wasn't in the digital PDF, not in the revised bylaws, not in the archived versions. Carlton had invented a rule overnight. The next morning, I went to the HOA office. The receptionist pretended she couldn't hear me until I tapped the desk. I asked for the minutes from last night's meeting. She refused. I asked for the new rule they passed. She refused. I asked to speak to the board. She refused. Finally, she handed me a pink slip that said, "Complaint form request DNIED, non-priority homeowner." Non-priority? What did that even mean? For the next week, those 22 bars sat there mocking me every time I looked outside. My car was stuck on the street, 2 blocks down, racking up tickets because the HOA said we weren't allowed to park overnight. I filed emails, got no replies. I attended the next HOA meeting. They adjourned the moment they saw me walk in. My neighbor tried to speak up for me. She was fined for interruption of proceedings. By day 10, I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. I drove to the county office, not the HOA office, not city zoning, the county. I asked a single question: did the HOA file for a permit to install 22 permanent parking barriers on private property? 3 clerks started checking. They made calls. They searched databases. Nothing. Then one of them leaned in and whispered, "If they installed permanent fixtures without permits, that's a major violation. Do you want to file a report?" Instead, I asked for something else. "I want to pull a permit." She blinked. "For what?" "For the entire structure of my driveway and for immediate inspection." Because here's the thing, once a homeowner requests an inspection for structural assessment, everything added to the driveway becomes subject to county review. And if anything was installed without approval, the county doesn't fine me. They fine the HOA. And they force removal. I paid the fee. The clerk handed me the bright orange permit. I taped it to the metal bar at the front like a flag of war. My neighbors gathered, whispering. Carlton showed up 5 minutes later, red-faced and sweating, waving his arms and demanding to know how I got authorization. When the county truck pulled up behind him, his face drained. The inspectors walked the driveway, took pictures, measured, shook their heads. They asked who installed the bars. Carlton tried blaming me. The inspector laughed in his face and pointed to the contractor's stickers still on the metal. Violation 1. Unauthorized construction. Violation 2. Unpermitted installation of permanent fixtures. Violation 3. Modification of private property without owner consent. Violation 4. Safety hazard due to obstructed emergency access. The county gave the HOA 72 hours to remove every bar or face fines of $5,000 per day, and they had to pay a penalty for the unauthorized installation, and they had to restore the driveway to its previous condition, and they had to attend a hearing for abusing authority. Carlton's eye twitched so hard I thought it might fall off. The next morning at 6:00 a.m., the same contractors came back, only this time they weren't drilling. They were ripping the bars out, cement flying, metal clattering. Carlton stood there watching like someone sentencing him to shovel snow for eternity. My neighbors came outside with lawn chairs. Someone made popcorn. Another shouted, "Take the rest of the HOA with you." 22 bars gone in 3 hours. But it didn't end there. The county ordered a review of the HOA's permit history. Turns out Section 14B wasn't the only thing Carlton had invented. There were dozens of unauthorized rule changes, unauthorized mailbox fees, unauthorized backyard fines, unauthorized landscaping restrictions. 3 years of corruption stacked like a deck of cards, waiting for one good gust to blow it down. And that gust had been my driveway. For the first time since I'd moved in, the HOA was silent. No emails, no threats, no warnings, no fines, just silence. And that silence was louder than any drill they ever put in my driveway.